Welcome to Better, the podcast about doing better, being better, and leaving the world a better place than we found it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Better, Do Better, Be Better, Make the World a Better Place. I am Jay, I'm your host. And today we are talking about 5 movies that make you better. And I have a better moment with Laura Vandervoort, actress from Saw, Smallville, V. I think she was on Bitten too, if I'm not mistaken. Amazing actress. I've met her a couple times at cons and the set of Smallville, which was one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Definitely a defining TV show from my youth. And so love Laura Vandervoort. I'm gonna bring her up in a second to launch this conversation about 5 movies that can make you better. But first, I don't know if you know what I'm about to do. If you do, that means you're a longtime listener, longtime fan. If you don't, here's what it is. The Last First Date, my book. It is available on Amazon. It is in hardcover, is in paperback, is an ebook. And it is a passion project of mine that I worked on for a long time. A year. And it is a tale of 2 people meeting online and eventually, hopefully, getting to their first date. And the main female lead is character, values, and all that are completely based on my girlfriend, Shauna. The main character is loosely based on me. The events are loosely how her and I met. But there's a bunch of fiction thrown in so you can get your drama fix and your conflict fix and all that sort of thing. So The Last First Date, it's available online now. Betterpodcast.live. That is our website. Go there. You can get all the episodes on all the platforms, all the social feeds, everything. Okay, so I want to start this conversation about the 5 movies that can make you better, and I'm going to start with Laura. And Laura will tell you the movie that she thinks will make you better. And she discusses a better moment herself.
Hi, Jay. Thank you so much for reaching out. That sounds really cool, the podcast that you do. Good for you. And you had asked if I had any, situations where I had to kind of step up and do better or be better. A lot of the time that I've been in this industry, there are jobs where I just didn't think I could do the role or wasn't good enough. So in that way, I've stepped up a lot for work and surprised myself and worked really hard. But the thing that comes to mind is directing. During COVID, there wasn't a lot of work happening, and I wanted to do better and be busy. So for the first time, I pushed myself to write my own script. And I cast it and funded it and directed for the first time, which scared me. But it made me become a better actor and have more appreciation for people behind the industry. Sorry, I got cut off. What I was trying to say is it made me appreciate people behind the camera, the producers and directors and writers and everything that they go through just to get to day one of shooting, where usually that's where us as actors just join. So I think I did better and was better for doing that and pushed myself. And then you asked for movies with great messages. I always think of The Blind Side and Forrest Gump. There's a lot of beautiful messages in both of those films. So I hope that helps. And good luck with the rest of the podcast. And thanks for reaching out and sending my love. Okay, bye.
Okay, so Blind Side and Forrest Gump, 2 that were not on my list, which is why I wanted to have somebody else on here to in their better moment and to talk about their movies. So The Blind Side is one that I have not seen, actually, but I know it's about a football player who is down and out, I believe, and he gets a chance at a career because Sandra Bullock, who is playing, I believe it's a true story, Sandra Bullock, who is playing his I guess adopted mother, maybe, helps to get his career going in football. So I can see how that would be inspirational. And Forrest Gump, I mean, come on, it's so inspirational. This guy who has everything working against him, and he ends up in a situation where, you know, I said on a couple of former episodes that a lot of my friends call me Homer Simpson, because Homer Simpson in a black V-neck, because he always finds himself in weird situations, even though he's just a regular guy. Forrest Gump, kind of the same thing. He's just a regular guy who even he has a lot of challenges that back in the day where the movie is presented were considered to be basically disqualifiers for making anything of yourself in life. And obviously in the movie, you know, he just, all these situations he gets into, it's pretty awesome to see. Just, you know, watch his journey from this kid in leg braces with, you know, a mental disability, and he just conquers all, and he ends up meeting the president and winning ping pong championships and coming up with branding that made billions. And it's a really neat story. Now, is it realistic? No. But is it inspiring? Absolutely, because it's a story about somebody who wasn't supposed to be able to do these things that did them. Kind of like you know, we've a guest on the show that was supposed to be it. Jeffrey Deskovic, for example, you know, he went to jail for murder and rape that he didn't commit, gets out, becomes a lawyer, now helps other people get out who have been wrongfully convicted. So, you know, there are, in real life, there are plenty of examples. Now, they don't go on to do 1,000 different things that impact the world, but they do make the world a better place. We've had so many different examples of guests. So if you want to go back in the show and watch some guests who were told that they would not be able to do the thing, and then they did it, this is the show for you. Go back and take a look at some of the guest interviews. But I have assembled a list of the 5 movies that I found to be most inspirational for getting better, for being better, doing better, making the world a better place. So let's get into them. The first one is The Pursuit of Happiness from 2006. This is a classic one on a lot of people's lists when it comes to doing better. And it's starring Will Smith, and it's based on a true story. A guy who is down and out ends up becoming making a fortune with the stock market, becoming a broker and all that. Very cool story. Very heartbreaking. The scene where he's got his kid and they're in a bathroom in a public place, and he has to hold the door closed while somebody's trying to get in, and he's crying on the floor while he's doing it. You know, ends up homeless, and ends up, you know, he comes to a job interview and he just looks disheveled with paint all over himself and everything from the new place he got into. And the whole way through that movie, I was thinking, man, God, can I relate to that? I mean, I've definitely had my moments of being down and out. And had I stopped, had I said right there, you know what, life is too much, that my life, I would have never experienced the abundance that I have in my life today, or that I've had in my life throughout this whole journey. But that is the big lesson. The big lesson of that movie is, you, no matter what, the clock keeps ticking, right? Tick, 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 tick. Seconds go by all the time. No matter how you respond, the clock keeps ticking. So we all only have a certain number of ticks in the clock that we are allotted, right? Until we are gone, until we figure out what's after this life, if anything. And with that in mind, you should try to make it as good of a life as possible, especially if you've got kids, right? If you've got kids, it's your responsibility to give them as good of a life as possible. So I think that ultimately, you know, what that movie teaches is that you have to, no matter how many times life takes a sledgehammer to you, you have to be cognizant of the fact that clock does not stop ticking. And every tick that you waste on feeling sorry for yourself or not doing what you need to do to get past the stage you're at, you're doing yourself a disservice. You know, I think I often do a thought exercise where I think of myself as a very old man laying in a bed, you know, a couple people around me saying, you know, asking me, what do you think your life amounted to? And the last thing I want to say is nothing, or addiction, or you know, no contribution or whatever. I want to be able to say, it amounted, here are the defining things in me that I feel made my life worthwhile, made my time here worthy of this gift that we're given called life. So that's number one. Number two, Dead Poets Society, a classic from 1989 with Robin Williams. For those of you, because I know a lot of you probably haven't seen 1989 movies, Robin Williams stars as an English teacher who encourages his students to think independently and seize the day. It's where the expression, well, it doesn't, not where it comes from, but where it was made famous, is carpe diem. It's a powerful reminder of the importance of passion, creativity, and living life with purpose. So similar in terms of message on the surface to Pursuit of Happiness. But I think there's one very important underlying thing here, and that is to bring into your life people that can help you level up. Robin Williams is a teacher. He helps these kids level up. And because he makes them think of life from a different perspective, because he helps them understand that there's only so much time, like Pursuit of Happiness, they grow up a little bit faster in terms of, how they feel about what their path is going to be in life. So I really do think the underlying message in this movie is try to be a person that other people can learn from, can be guided by. Try to contribute while you're here. Because if you can contribute, especially to younger generations, they're not always going to listen, for sure. Like Shauna's kids, I try to, when something comes up that I feel like I have some kind of, I have experience with, and I can pass on some knowledge. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But and that can be frustrating, and it can also be very rewarding. Those few times that you get through, they matter. They definitely do matter. So no matter who you are, if you are a positive force in this world, try to pass that positivity on. Try to surround yourself with people that are willing to do that. And you help people out that way too, right? It should be an exchange of energy. And you should be helping make each other better. And as I've talked about in previous episodes, if you got people around you that are stuck in an old way of thinking, they are stuck on the level. So let's say, I'll give you a sample scenario. So I was DJing. It was my big goal to DJ. I was throwing the occasional party. It was going okay. I was working at Chapters, the bookstore, and this I was very young, and a lot of my friends were doing this similar thing. And one day I was like, you know what? Like I gotta do better, because I'm living in a Manitoba housing, which is it's government subsidized housing. I was bartering for food because I didn't really have enough money. I was taking the bus. It's not like I had a bad life. It's that I didn't have at that moment an idea of what made me happy or what my goals were or anything. So then one day I woke up, I said, this is insanity. I need to figure out a way to level up. So I started talking to friends about leveling up, and the ones that had some contribution to make stayed in my life. The ones who didn't, one of the friends that had the biggest contribution to make was my friend Adrian, who his parents got him into martial arts early, which taught him discipline, which allowed him to get into piano. Now he's a master pianist, living in Europe, and he's an entrepreneur, and we're on a very similar wavelength. He stayed in my life because when I was trying to contemplate the next step, the next level, he wasn't saying, no, just be fine with the way it is, let's just go party. He was like, no, we gotta, well, what about this, you're good at this, so maybe you go in this direction, and we're able to have these great conversations. And that's why sometimes when people like dog rich people, like, oh, all they do is hang out with rich people, they don't even hang out with poor people. Well, it's not that poor people don't have the same drive as them, but your life becomes different as you level up. When I was at that level where I had next to nothing and I was struggling to get by, and Adrian was lucky because his parents lived in the city, mine didn't. No fault of their own. They just didn't live in the city, right? So he had an extra security blanket in that he could live at his parents' place. But what ended up happening was, I'm looking to level up. He's looking to level up. A bunch of other people in my life aren't looking to level up, so they don't stay. and they continue to stay at that level, I go up to the next level, and Adrian goes up to the next level, and then again and again and again, right? And eventually you go and and it happened to me. I ran into people who were at that first level I was at and are still at that first level, and there's nothing we can't relate. It's I want to talk about what the next project's going to be, what the next big sponsorship's going to be or whatever, and they want to talk about the good old days of the bar, and they're just kind of stuck there, right? And if that's what they want to do, I can't dictate how anybody else lives, but you get to the point where if you're leveling up in life, you need the people that are on the same level or levels higher than you to inspire you. You need those people around you, or you start to backslide. You hear about it all the time. Somebody that does drugs and they get clean, like Mariah Petty, who was on the show. And Pretty Petty? I think I might be saying that wrong. Mariah, who was on the show, who talked about how she was addicted to drugs and everything, and she went to prostitution. She cleaned her life up. She's doing great in life now. But there are, if she was to go hang out with those people that do drugs again, guess what? Mariah's doing drugs again. You can only fight that influence for so long. So why risk it, right? So when you get to a certain level, that level dictates the people around you, because you start to learn along the way that if you bring people, and you can bring people up, if people are at a lower level and they say, oh man, I just need to go to this level, that is enough to say, cool, now you've got something to talk about with them again, right? Like if one of my friends from back in the day when I was at level 1 had said, come to me when I was at level 5 and said, I'm tired of the life I have. I want to do better. I want to be better. I want to make the world a better place. Working my mantra in. I would have said, cool, yeah, let's do it. Because now we've got something in common again, right? It's not about trying to keep people that are down. It's about not bringing yourself down with people that are staying down. And I think that's a really important lesson in surrounding yourself with the right people. Dead Poet Society, definitely a movie to check out. All right, number 3, 1994. I can't believe this movie came out in 1994. Andy Dufresne, The Shawshank Redemption. Oh my God, that movie. I remember watching it. I think I watched that movie every night for like 6 months when I was going to bed. That movie is such a that it's as perfect, I think, as you can get to a perfect movie. It's as close to as you can get to a perfect movie. Shawshank Redemption. If you don't know it, here, I'll give you the little synopsis of it. If you don't know it, please, for the love of God, just pause this and watch it. You need it in your life. So despite being imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, Andy Dufresne maintains hope and resilience. So basically he's in jail for a crime he didn't commit, and he makes the best of his life there, and also plotting to escape jail and start a new life. There are a lot of people that are looking to escape their lives. And when I look at The Shawshank Redemption, and when I watch it, and I try to watch it at least once a year, when I do watch it, I really start to dial into something, and that is I start to think of the things that I need to escape. So Andy Dufresne played the long game over a long period of time in the movie. He's, doing people's taxes because he was a tax attorney or an accountant or something. He worked in taxes. He was the best friend to the warden and all these sorts of things, all while finding the little tiny things that he can manipulate to be able to escape jail. And when I watch it and I'm done watching it, I think, okay, what is my prison right now? So last year in 2024, my prison was my body, which is hella frustrating considering the fact that that's not how it's supposed to be, right? Your body is a vehicle. Your body is a tool. Your body is something that if you keep it fine-tuned, you should be able to rely on it. And last year I wasn't able to. If you need to know why, you can go back and say stress. You can see the episode or listen to the episode Stress Almost Killed Me, I think it's called. Death by Stress, that's what it's called. And Kurt Angle is on that episode. It's a great episode. But I go through all that about what happened to me last year. So my prison last year was my body. So I spent every waking second trying to figure out a way to heal up speed up my healing. So once that was done, that was December. That was last Christmas. So 2 days before Christmas, December 23rd, 2024 is when I got my clean bill of health. And that was earlier than they expected. And I only have now problems that everybody has that's kind of out of shape a little bit. I fell out of shape because I couldn't work out for like a year, right? I tried, I kept failing. So I had to stop and just realize I had to let my body heal. But my new prison, if I were to watch Shawshank Redemption now, I would say my new prison is the habits I built while I was trying to get healthy. Apologies. So I got a little lazy, right? It's not that I wasn't trying to get better. It's just that I can only do so much. And for a good half of the year, it really hurt to even get out of bed. And it took me hours to figure out, the right timing to be able to lift my body up. So I'm finding that it's presenting challenges for me in terms of meeting my goals that I used to set for myself, because I don't quite have the same spunk that I used to. So my prison right now is my inability to meet the expectations I had for myself prior to my illness. So, and then that's pretty much it. I think my life is pretty good. So I'm not going to complain at all. There are people that got way bigger problems than I do, but that is my prison. So that movie makes me think of my prisons, and it reminds me I have to escape prison. I have to be Andy Dufresne, and I got to get out of there. I'm doing a horrible impersonation, by the way, of when his name is said in the movie. But it's a great movie. Go watch it. Shawshank Redemption. It was released in 1994. Okay. Next one. This movie is it's an interesting choice for me because it's all about women and women succeeding and people of color. Obviously, I'm a man and I'm not a person of color, so I have not dealt with what they dealt with. However, it's science, which I love, and it is somebody that should not at that time, by all perception, should not have been. It's people that should not have been allowed in science, but they forced their way in and changed the world. So we're talking about Hidden Figures from 2016. If you haven't seen it, it follows 3 African American women working at NASA during the 1960s space race. Their intelligence, determination, and teamwork helped break race and gender barriers. So it's a fantastic movie. You guys got to go see it. And really when I watched that movie, and I've seen it, I think 2, maybe 3 times now. The big thing for me in that movie is when there's a scene where the white male boss of this one black woman in NASA, he's like, why do you take such long bathroom breaks? And she goes at him. She goes off, and she's like, look, I can't use the bathrooms here because no coloreds in the bathroom, kind of thing. And I'm not using that. That's not my term. That's a term from the movie, from the time. Okay. And then she goes, I gotta walk all this way just to go to the washroom. And then the boss turns around, who's played by Kevin Costner. Always a good performance. Even Waterworld, he did good. But so he goes and he smashes the sign and he says, there's no more coloreds or white bathroom. There's no, this is just everybody gets to use these washrooms. And in that movie, yes, they're breaking through borders. But the other thing is that I think it's a big thing to find allies. Now, just like we were talking about with Dead Poet Society and finding the right people in your life, finding allies in what you're trying to do is very important. I'll give you an example from my own life. I was watching, I did this nurses basket campaign to give nurses a basket of goods from the local community. And it was very successful. But while I was doing it, we learned about the nurses can't get a contract and the province wasn't taking them seriously. So I put together a group of 100 business owners that were going to advocate for nurses to get a fair contract in our province. Well, of the 100, by the time we launched, there were 3 of us left. And I didn't sweat the 97 that decided to just have their name on something and not do anything. I focused in on the other 2 like me who were actually doing something, my allies in this. And then, the Manitoba Nurses Union recognized that we were an ally and they came together with us. And, I was able to put out much more aggressive messages because I wasn't a union doing negotiations. I was an outspoken third party, and between our aggressive messages and their negotiations, nurses got their contract. And that wouldn't have happened without the allies I had in the business community and without MNU and myself becoming an ally. So my takeaway from this one is, if you're trying to do better, find people that have mission critical just like you. So if it's your mission to launch a business that services a certain segment of the population, go and find people that represent that segment of the population. Don't just try to do it all yourself. You need allies. You can't get far without allies. Allies are a huge tool for getting somewhere in this world. So as much as the messages are about persevering over, all these movies are about persevering over your circumstances. These are the hidden messages I find in each movie. All right, last one, number 5. Dun, 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 dun. If you don't know that song, I pity the fool. Rocky, 1976, classic David versus Goliath style of movie. My takeaway from this one is definitely people will have a certain idea of what you're supposed to do, what your limits are in this society. Don't listen to a damn word they have to say. You have no limits. You have no limits. As long as you are willing to put in the work, you're willing to put in the time to learn, you're willing to try and fail and pick yourself back up again until you succeed, and then fail again and keep doing that over and over and over again. As long as you've got that in you, you have no limits. You can go further than anybody ever expects you to. That's my takeaway from Rocky. Some people focus in on strength. Some people focus in on the ally component and the, mentors and stuff like. For me, that's what that movie really is telling you. So to do better, you have to be ready to basically kill an old version of yourself to move up, to move on, to move forward. So that is the episode. If you want a recap, we have all these movies. So number 1 was Pursuit of Happiness. Number 2 was Dead Poet Society. Number 3 was Shawshank Redemption. Number 4 was Hidden Figures. Number 5 was Rocky. And Laura Vandervoort, the amazing Laura Vandervoort, gave us Blindside and Forrest Gump. All movies that can inspire you to level up, to do better. Okay, so if you haven't seen any of these, I don't care how old you are. If you're 10 and you're listening to this, you probably haven't seen any of these. Go watch them. And if you're 80 and you're starting a business, go watch them. Get inspired. Really, really allow the message to just kind of take you over. And I guarantee they'll help you. They'll help you spark some sort of something in terms of progress. Okay, that is it. That is all for this episode of Better. Let me know in the comments any movies that you find inspiring so that others can watch them and get inspired as well. All right, later, guys.
Thanks for checking out Better. If you got to the end, it must mean you liked the episode, right? So how about 5 stars? Maybe a sub, maybe a share. Great universal common points. And good luck on your better journey.